Welcome back. This is the second instalment of our lunchtime dishes. This time we'll be doing a big lunchtime frittata. This will serve 4 people quite generously. This is using a selection of eggs, various ingredients with mushrooms, spinach, tomato. I've selected this one because this is a dish that you can do with almost anything in your fridge. So if you've got something that needs using, you can put it into your frittata, whether it be peppers, onions, garlic, mushrooms. I'm using Parmesan cheese today as well. So really this is a very versatile dish that you can do with almost anything. So this is why I picked it. So we'll get started. Okay, so we'll start our frittata. First thing you need to do is line your non-stick frying pan. If you don't have a non-stick frying pan, you can use baking parchment, and you can just line the bottom of your pan with baking parchment and just grease the sides of your pan, okay? This will stop your frittata sticking and make it easy to turn out at the end. What I'm going to do though is just use a small amount of oil, just to coat it. If you have a spray oil, all the better. And then what we're going to do is just lightly coat the pan. Even though this is non-stick, it's always best to have a little helping hand, okay? There we go. So that's our pan lined. So for the ingredients, we'll need grated Parmesan cheese, the recipe you'll already have, roughly chopped spinach, and what you'll also need are mushrooms sliced, and I'll go through that with you, and also tomatoes de-seeded and sliced. If you've got the seeds in the tomatoes, that will adjust the recipe, so you'll find your eggs won't set as well. Okay, so for the mushrooms, take the bottom off the mushroom. If you wish to peel them, that's absolutely fine. Thinly slice them. Okay, so thinly sliced mushrooms, they'll go in lovely. Then with the tomato, you need to cut it into quarters. And with a smaller knife, I'm using a tomato knife. Very good knife, it's got serrated edge. It's probably about, I don't know, 4 inches long. It's a really good knife. Okay. Right, so we're de-seeding these tomatoes. So just run your knife very carefully and take out any additional seeds that you come across, okay? And then with that, we'll then slice the tomato nice and thin, because you want nice bits of tomato going through your frittata. Okay. Nice thin slices. And then what we'll do after this, we'll actually sweat off. There we go. We'll sweat off the mushrooms along with the spinach. And then what we'll do, we'll pour all of this into a bowl with the cheese and the tomato, mushrooms and the spinach, a little bit of seasoning. And then what we'll do, we'll pour that into our lined pan, pop that in the oven for about 20 minutes, and then we'll take it out of the oven, turn it out on a plate, and you'll have your frittata. So we'll just pan over to the stoves, and then I'll go through the cooking of the mushrooms and spinach. Right, so we've now got the pan on the heat. We'll just do a tiny bit of rapeseed oil in there, not too much, just enough to cook the mushrooms. You have to bear in mind though, the mushrooms will absorb the moisture, okay? So we're just going to bring that up to a nice temperature. Again, you don't want it too hot, we want to sweat them off, okay? As I said before, sweating is cooking without colour, so we just want to sweat them off, and then we can put them into the rest of our frittata then. So put that in. Again, you can put all sorts of stuff in a frittata. You can put garlic in there. I do that at home. Very nice. But obviously, the main focus of this this course of videos is to go through healthy cooking options with you. Okay. So there we go. So they're starting to cook. Then once they've started to sweat and release some of their moisture, we'll add that spinach in, and we'll just wilt that spinach down. What you'll find with spinach, you'll see like it'll seem like 100 grams is a lot, and it'll fill the pan up. But once it starts cooking, and that liquid starts coming out of the spinach, it'll wilt down to next to nothing, so you'll be very surprised. So to start with, you'll probably need quite a large pan, and then you'll find when it wilts down, there'll be next to nothing in there. Okay, so obviously, so turn your ingredients over with a spoon to make sure it's nice and safe. You just need to gently cook these mushrooms off, because they will finish off in the frittata anyway. Right, so that's all we're doing with those mushrooms, and we're going to put our spinach in. So what you'll need to do, just gently cut your spinach up. Gently cut your spinach up before you actually. You can see now that's quite a full pan of spinach, but once this starts to wilt down, you'll see it'll go to next to nothing. Turn the heat down. Now your mushrooms are more or less done. It's wilting down a bit now. And you don't want to overdo it, so once you see that the spinach starts to wilt down, you can actually take it off the heat. Because otherwise the residual heat in the pan might overcook it, okay? So we'll take it off the heat now, and then we'll pan back over to the workbench, and then we can put the rest of our frittata together, okay? Right, so now we've got our bowl. Spinach and mushrooms are done. You can see now how the spinach has wilted down to next to nothing. It's pretty much finished. So what we'll do, we'll put that into our clean bowl. What that'll do, that'll stop the cooking of the spinach as well, okay? There we go. So then what we'll do, we'll add our tomatoes. Tomatoes in there. Mix that through. Then we'll add our 50 grams, I think it was, Parmesan cheese. Lovely. There's Parmesan cheese. And then we add our eggs. Okay, so we'll stir this through. Make sure it's all nicely incorporated. Then what we'll do, we'll add a pinch of salt. What you'll find, you'll probably put a little bit more seasoning in this frittata than you normally would do, because obviously there's not much additional flavour from the eggs. So a few turns of cracked white pepper. I always use white pepper when I'm doing stuff like this, things that are light coloured, because you don't necessarily want to see the black pepper going through the frittata when you cut into it. Okay, so that is basically it. So what we'll do, we're going to pour that into our pan. There we go, that is done. So what we'll do now, we'll pop that into the oven for about 20 minutes on 180 degrees fan assisted oven. If it's not fan assisted, it'll be 200 degrees, gas mark 6, okay? So then we'll pop this into the oven, 20 minutes, we'll pull it out, we'll turn it out onto a plate, the other side, other way around. And then that's ready for cutting and presenting, okay? So we'll cut back once it comes out the oven. Happy cooking. Right, so welcome back. We've just now taken our frittata out of the oven. You can see it's lovely and golden. It's well set, which is exactly what we're looking for, okay? So now what we're going to do is tip our frittata onto our plate. So the way to do that safely is put your plate on top, being very careful not to touch the pan because it's just come out of the oven. And then we're going to flip it over. There we go. And there's our baked frittata, okay? So that is lovely. That's lovely and set. So what we need to do now, you can either leave it cool, or what you can do, you can actually cut it into segments while it's hot and have it as a hot frittata, or as I say, you can let it cool down and have it cold with a nice side of watercress. or even if you're making the tabbouleh that we've previously done, you could use that as a salad to go on the side of the frittata. So that's an entire meal in itself, or a couple of meals in itself. So yeah, so that's a lovely vegetarian, healthy frittata. So I hope you enjoy cooking.